Kevin Smith has been promoting a lot of the new Clerks movie he's coming out with, Clerks 3. And I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, so I'm looking forward to another Clerks. I would like another like Dogma. I think Dogma is one of my favorite Kevin Smith films in the world. But I'll take another Clerks because I think Clerks is a good story to keep building on. Clerks 1 was fantastic. Clerks 2, I know a lot of people that's a hit and miss for it, but I enjoyed it. And, Kevin Smith, he's got a lot under his belt, director-wise. This is the new Clerks film is going to be like his 30th directorial film. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Like, he's directed a lot of films. He's got Tusk, Cop Out, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, Jersey Girl, the two Clerks movie, Jay and Silent Bob films, and Dogma, Chasing Amy, Mallrats. Like, he's got great films under his belt. But today I want to talk about one film that I don't think gets enough recognition from him. And it's the film Red State from 2011. Now, this was kind of during the time frame where he was really doing these feel-good comedy films. Like, he had done Mallrats and Chasing Amy and Jersey Girl and Clerks 2. And then he did Cop Out. And then he did Red State. So Red State is probably the first film that drifts away from what would be his normal kind of repertoire, like what you don't expect from a writer-director like Kevin Smith. And I believe he actually wrote this too, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did write this. He wrote Red State. Red State's one of the, he wrote a lot more than he's actually directed, but Red State is one of the ones he wrote and directed. So, what is Red State, for some who might not know? Like, this is a film that's from 10 years ago. So, it's a film about these dudes who answer this internet ad to go and have group sex with a bunch of girls. But what they wind up getting involved in is something called the 5 Points Trinity Church, which is this fanatical, cult group who kidnap them and decide that they should be sacrificed for their sacrilege against humanity for wanting to have premarital sex, essentially. And it's this really crazy, downward spiral of a story where you never know who's gonna live, who's gonna survive. And this is one of those first films that kind of brings to light what Kevin Smith decides to do when it comes to storytelling like this. And it's that he doesn't follow the norms. There is no win or lose with a film like this. Whoever you're expecting to survive, it's very much like Game of Thrones. And maybe some people would disagree for me comparing something like Red State to something like Game of Thrones, but it really isn't there's no final girl, there's no survivor, nobody wins, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost satisfying to see that because you don't see it enough. You don't see a story that progresses to the extent where it's these 5 dudes and they're really trying to survive. And, there's portions where they succeed, and there's portions where they don't. And there's portions where, the people who you expect to succeed in, the long run almost on the other side, you say, oh, maybe these guys will, die, or maybe these guys will, so nothing is expected. You don't expect anything that comes out of this film. This is, one of the dudes gets really connected with, this girl and her daughter or something, or her little sister, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they get really connected, and she's like, I want out. And she's like, you help me get out, and we'll get out together. I'll protect you, or whatever. And so they try to, and then they're unsuccessful. You know what I mean? Very few people survive this. And then it goes even deeper to the extent where they actually wind up getting the FBI involved. And one of the main FBI agents who's on the case is John Goodman. And John Goodman does a fantastic role in this film. And it's one of those things where he has this dialogue at the very end that just lets me feel... So there's always these things going on on the internet where it's oh, who would you want narrating your life? Some people say Morgan Freeman. Some people even say Samuel Jackson. To me, I would say John Goodman, and that's because of his role in this film. And one of the things that Kevin Smith is fantastic at, that puts him on a level, writer and directorial-wise, is that he's on that same level to me as Quentin Tarantino. Simply because their writing is very much based on their dialogue, and it's very much based on building characters, not with just scenes and not with just actions, but also with dialogue. And the dialogue they build with John Goodman and a lot of his speeches in the film, they're just fantastic. And it just shows the writing quality that Kevin Smith puts in his film, especially films that are like kind of direct to DVD like this film was. You know what I'm saying? And I actually, funny enough, I think Quentin Tarantino had something to do with the production of this film. I know he has some sort of connection with this film in some way, shape, or form. But I also know that this is not one of the more higher rated films on Kevin Smith's writer and director criteria in a way, but it's also not the least. Like, it's kind of right in the middle. Like, Red State is like right in the middle. Like, top is probably like Dogma and Clerks 1, and then like bottom is probably like Cop Out. So it's like right in the middle of these films, and it's very much worth it. And I didn't hear about it until many years after the fact. And when I finally heard about it and I got to watch it, I was just very much happy with it. Like, I had no quarrels with the film whatsoever. I thought the film was great from start to finish. And I feel like if you're a person who likes Kevin Smith and likes Kevin Smith films and has never heard of this film before, you should definitely go and give it a chance. I would highly recommend this film, especially if you're waiting for more Kevin Smith films like Clerks 3, or I know that he's got something else for Mallrats coming out. I think it's like Twilight of the Mallrats is still in production. I would highly recommend, this film if you're waiting for films like that and you want some good Kevin Smith content. Like, this is just, from start to finish, it's such a great film. And it popped up the other day because I was reading articles about Clerks 3, and I'm like, you know what film doesn't get enough recognition? Red State. And that's why I just wanted to do this really quick entry about Red State, because I feel like if you are taking anything away from this entry, just go and give it a shot. Go and give this film a shot if you're looking for a film to kind of keep you, like, waiting for more Kevin Smith content. And I do hope it doesn't stop at Clerks 3 or the Mallrats. I do hope we get another Dogma, so just in case Kevin Smith ever listens to this, dude, I love you, love your work, give me another Dogma. Dogma is one of my favorite films you've ever done, and I would love a sequel or a reimagining or something along those lines. I would love another Dogma. So please, give me another Dogma.